Good evening and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin and I am the Dream Decipherer, and I help you to crack the code of your sleep and dreams so you can sleep sound and dream deep. This evening, I said I have a dreamer who was all hot and bothered in their dream and setting off fire alarms. So let's find out what's going on. Let's see. The dreamer reports that they were invited to participate in some extra judo training for either a competition or for grading to get a higher level belt at a venue that they weren't familiar with. It took them a bit of doing to actually find the venue, which was an old Masonic hall. And after finding somewhere to park, went into the building to do the training. The two people that the dreamer knew were in attendance there, two gentlemen. But the dreamer was actually paired for the training exercise with a woman. And apparently there were sparks going on between the dreamer and this training partner, which they thought no one had noticed. Now, during this training exercise, the fire alarm apparently went off a number of times during the training because the wind somehow was having the door. They kept the doors open for ventilation during the training session, and it must have been alarmed or something, and it would go off, and the firefighters would turn up. And the firefighters, when they got there, actually said that a neighbor had complained about the alarms going off. After the training was over, everyone was standing around, apparently just having a chit-chatting, and a friend of one of the two friends of the dreamer, a friend of a friend, was less interested in the conversation, but was more interested in playing a flute, a small flute, like a piccolo or something. And one of the dreamer's friends was actually went back to the subject of the dreamer and his training partner, teasing the dreamer about the sparks that were flying between him and this woman. And the dream ends there. Wow. Seems to be all kinds of fires needing to be put out in his dream, or at least the implication that that there's something hot going on. But let's see what's going on and what possible meanings that could be for the dreamer. Now, the first thing is this judo class. It's a martial art of war, if you will. Which was taking place either for a competition of some kind or for a belting grading exercise. Now, competition would imply some kind of war, and maybe descending to a more negative or lower level, whereas a grading, receiving a higher or a more advanced belt, applies some kind of elevation. So you have this juxtaposition of competition, things descending into war or chaos, as opposed to getting a new belt, which is ascending. So there's something about the contrast between lower and higher there. And my question here for the dreamer is does the dreamer feel that somehow that they are in competition with something or someone? And maybe perhaps feeling also being judged or graded in some way with regard to their performance, their behavior, or some other matter. Is there an area of the dreamer's life that feels like that, like they're being judged and assessed and assigned a particular value, if you will? Then you have this venue, this old Masonic hall, which was difficult for the dreamer to find. it was a venue that they were unfamiliar with. And if you know anything about the Masons are a secret society. You don't really see them. They're all over the place, but only they recognize each other through secret handshakes or glances or something like that. So it's interesting that this hall that the training was taking place in was a place that is kind of a hallmark of secretiveness, of secrecy, of people hiding in plain sight, as it were. I mean, the building is apparent when you can find it, but what goes on in it is not. And if you extrapolate there a bit, you could actually think of, I mean, we can think of, they say our body is a temple, and that usually Masonic halls are considered temples. And perhaps this is maybe a metaphor for the dreamer. Is there something in his temple, i.e. body, that he prefers to people to get lost or not see or hide in plain sight? Is there something going on in the dreamer's life that needs to be kept hidden? And my further questions with regard to this is there an area of the dreamer's life that is difficult to access in some way, or perhaps full of secrets? And why does, if that is the case, why does this thing or behavior or state of mind need to be kept hidden? Why is that? So moving on from there, we come to this female opponent or partner during the training. Now, apparently there's this attraction between the dreamer and this female person, but they're both pretending that, oh, you know, if we act like we're, you know, like there's nothing going on, everybody will think nothing is going on. But apparently that was a lie, because people noticed anyway. There's nothing that's more revealing than people pretending that they're not into each other. It becomes quite obvious that they're deliberately avoiding one another. So it's a bit of a contradiction there. But my question here is, why does the dreamer and this person feel that they need to pretend that they're not interested in each other? Is there some forbidden aspect of the relationship? Maybe they're involved with other people. Maybe there's differences of some kind that are either obvious or less than obvious, whether it be religion, race, blah, 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 etc. And therefore that it's better that they appear not to be having anything to do with one another. You could also look at this at a slightly deeper level, on the psychological level, that this is the dreamer's anima, or inner female, that the part of every male that expresses emotion, connectedness, a feeling, which is something a lot of men struggle with, actually connecting with their emotions and expressing their feelings. Now, is there some aspect or some area in the dreamer's life where there's something that, you know, that is considered less than manly in terms of connection or feeling, that needs to be kept hidden for whatever reason? And maybe that's why, you know, I'm drawn to this, but I want to pretend I'm not. So, and that conflict of expressing oneself fully or not is embodied literally in this woman. Now, we come to the alarm bells and the fire brigade showing up. I mean, it's kind of an interesting segue where you have these two people who are hot for each other, and then fire alarms go off, and you know the firefighters come because they have the alarm going off. But there were, you know, like I said, there's these kind of hot feelings going on between the dreamer and his training partner, but it was a false alarm. the alarms kept going off because the door ostensibly was open. And that another metaphor that could mean something else, that the door was open for the flames to build, or to cool things down. But the alarms were going off, and it was blamed on having to leave the door open for ventilation while the training was going on. But my question here for the dreamer is this kind of a subterfuge of some kind on the dreamer's part, of blaming it on the wind? It's the wind that's making the alarm bells go off, and causing the firefighters to come. I mean, what is this? Why was it necessary to keep the doors open? Is it because of COVID? Is it because, we need to keep this public so that, people can see that we're on the up and up and not doing anything we're not supposed to at another level? It's just an interesting kind of pattern or following of events that occurred. Even the neighbors were complaining about the noise, and it made me laugh when I read this, because it made me think of, thin walls, noisy couples, and the people banging on the walls to get them to stop making so much noise because the bed keeps hitting the wall. So there's so much that's implied by this, but which is not happening, but the implication is there. And then the imagery continues. I mean, even after the training is over, the teasing about these feelings between the dreamer and the training partner go on. And you've got some guy who's standing there playing a small flute. I mean, how Freudian can you get? I just had to laugh at that one. But I mean, there is something here that seems to be a theme running through this about, dealing with desire or not dealing with it, or acknowledging it, or pretending it's not there. And I wonder if that's perhaps an issue that, for one reason or another, that the dreamer is actually struggling with. So what could this all possibly mean? Well, I have a number of questions came up for me, but there were 4 in particular that I would pose to the dreamer to think about. And first off, is the dreamer harboring feelings, whether they're sexual or not, that are somehow forbidden or unacceptable in some way for the dreamer, whether it be for the dreamer or for the people around the dreamer? And my next question following on from that is, are the feelings that the dreamer is experiencing so strong that they actually set off alarm bells, whether they're internal alarms, in our heads, or is it an actual alarm that people can perceive and notice that there's something going on? Despite the open doors and the apparent transparency to cool things down with this open door. Now, this Masonic hall speaks of secret and hidden manners and things that aren't apparent to outsiders who are not Masons. And though they may be actually doing things in plain sight, they're actually doing things that are hidden. And I wonder if that juxtaposition of being in plain sight but hiding things is an issue actually for the dreamer. And finally, my last question is that some area of the dreamer's life where they're making a pretense or pretending about something, hoping that others don't notice? And if that's the case, why? What is it that is it shameful? Is it illegal? Is it fattening? What is it that the dreamer feels that they need to keep under lid because don't want to set off alarm bells and have the fire brigade come to put out the fire? So there you have it, a hot time in the old town tonight. And as always, I will be fascinated to hear what the dreamer has to say about all of this when I get feedback. And if you have a dream that's got you hot and bothered or keeping you up late at night, you can always contact me for a free mini consultation to find out tips on how you can approach your dream and pull out the information that it has for you. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a great evening and rest of the week. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.